Hey everyone, welcome back. So good to see you guys, and I'm really excited about who we have on today. It is none other than Carlos German. Carlos, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And ready to have a blast and add a ton of value here.
Very, very much. Always good to connect with new honey badgers around the area. So, Carlos, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into real estate.
Oh man, okay. So we're gonna start with the question, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I've been in real estate 16 years. Started when I was 21 is when I got my license. I'm dating a little bit. I'm gonna turn 37 this year, and I started like all of us. I didn't know what I was doing. I just decided that real estate was something that had a lot of potential. I didn't want to cap my potential. I didn't want to cap my future.
Right.
So I got in the industry and gave it all I had. I mean, I worked so hard that first year. I remember like I was living in an empty apartment, didn't even have furniture. I had a sofa bed. It was really, really tough early on. Rosemary, who is my wife, then was my girlfriend. She was working, cleaning houses and supporting us. And I was a full-time agent. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to do. And when I ended up my first year of hard work, determination, crushing everything that I could,
right.
I had only sold 3 houses. That's it. That's how many houses I saw. I realized very quickly, wow, this thing is hard. This real estate business is challenging. And, I realized that others had this business. I realized that I didn't have to reinvent the wheel, that I didn't have to be alone. And I started looking for mentorship and trying to learn from others that came before me. And that made a world of a difference, Erin, because it created, a path for me.
Right.
When you're working hard and you feel like you're climbing up a ladder and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna conquer the world, and
Right.
all of a sudden you realize you were climbing up the wrong ladder, right? So once somebody showed me the way, showed me the path, and gave me some strategies that we're going to be talking about today, in the lead generation game, I was able to put all that work, that passion, determination into the right strategies and take my business to the next level. So for my third year, I sold 39 houses. Then I sold 50, 75, 150. Like it just scaled up very quickly from there. I started a team. Now I lead a team of 15. And I'm with EXP Realty, so I have an organization of over 1,600 agents all over the country, multiple countries actually. Now I have agents like in India and Portugal and places that I've never been into. So it is this real estate career, man, it's so powerful because I got one thing right, and that was I wanted a profession with no ceiling, and that's the one thing I got right with real estate. It definitely has.
No, you absolutely did it. Absolutely did. I think there really are, Carlos, and I think you'd agree too, with being as long as you have. There are very few people that set out and go, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be a realtor.
Right.
Very few people. And it tends to be the people that say, hey, it kind of happened on it, and this is what I was doing, tend to be the most successful, that realize that this is hard work, but oh, what a rewarding career it is if you put in that hard work and climb the right ladder,
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you are someone that's willing to do what it takes to build a future for your family, to build a legacy, to create a trampoline, not only for you, but for generations to come.
For sure.
This career is such an amazing opportunity to do that. I look at my parents, where they came from, and the opportunities they gave me by focusing and working. I'm from the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
I lived till I was 15 in the Dominican Republic. And, my parents were just those hardworking individuals that really pushed the envelope for their family to provide a platform. Even though we lived in a third world country where water and electricity are a scarce resource, we celebrated when we got it. I want to do that for my children. I have a 7-year-old son, and I want to provide that next level because of what I've done. Provide those opportunities, but also provide that trampoline for the agents in my office, the agents in my team. Giving them that chance.
Absolutely. Carlos, what would you say is your why?
Yeah, I mean, my wife is not as illustrious as other people, world changing or anything like that. But I've had it even before I knew what a why was, and it drives me. And that's a lesson. Like, a drive is something that drives you, right?
Yes.
That motivates you to do what you're supposed to do, to wake up excited in the morning, to go out and change the world. And a lot of amazing, illustrious things can happen from that.
Of course.
But my personal why is I just want to be the best that I can be. That's it. Simple. I want to live this world better than it was because I was here. So I just push every single day just to be better for my family, for my agents, for my partners, for everybody that I come in contact with. I'm just getting better and better every day. And I love that because it doesn't end. Like, there's always improvement. There's always growth. I'm always driven by that hunger to, just be the best that I can be. How great can I be? I have no idea, but I'll keep pushing. And the ripples of that motivation are felt in many, many other ways.
Absolutely. And that affects so many people, not even you directly, or even your family or your team. That makes a difference in our industry, in the community.
Absolutely.
All of those things. And that's what's so beautiful about it, because it never depletes, because if that's your why, that will always be.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, it's worked so far. So I want to, say, I don't think there's a wrong why as long as it drives you.
Exactly. Talk to everyone a little bit about lead generation mastery, since that is kind of your staple. That is what we all know you in the Honey Badger Nation about.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, I struggled early on, and I realized that it was because I was not in front of enough people.
Right.
Like, I was not generating enough leads. And when I started searching the industry and looking up to others, I realized they had a lead generation machine. They had a process, and that allowed them to consistently generate business. This business can be a roller coaster. Like, you sell, 10 houses in 3 months and you feel, like the king of the world.
Yeah.
But then you go 3-4 months without selling anything, and you're like, what happened? Like, well, you didn't have predictability in your business. You didn't have a machine. So, my focus is in my team, in my business, and in everything that I do is to create predictability, to create systems that generate opportunities consistently. And in real estate or in any business, the more people you're in front of, the better. The more eyeballs, the better. But there are some mistakes that people make. They think generating leads as a one pillar or as a one element is going to solve all their challenges.
Right.
And there's more to it than that. So I'm going to go over 4 specific areas that are part of my system that I've leveraged to, grow my business and to build a team and to step out of my team where, right now I'm the CEO of my business.
Okay.
And those 4 pillars are going to make a lot of sense when you start, putting them together. So the first thing is you got to have the right positioning, right? There's no point in generating leads if you're not positioned properly to capitalize on those leads. Let me explain. So if you get a lead, but you're not an expert, you're not someone knowledgeable, you're not speaking to the right audience, you're not connecting at a deep level with the person that is coming to you, they're not going to work with you. And a lot of agents make that mistake. They generate leads, but they don't position themselves as an expert. Let me ask you a question. When you went to the doctor and you set that appointment, did you go to the doctor calling all the shots, or were you there to see an expert to get advice from them of what needed to be done? Right? Like that doctor is positioned as an expert. So, and when you look at the other like industries that have suffered from displacement due to technology, you know, like the travel industry or some other industry, the people that get displaced are the ones that are a commodity in that industry, but not the experts. So I always focus in, you know, let's look at the lens of a website. A website that you're driving leads to, if that website is not positioning you as an expert, then you're not likely to convert that lead at a high level, or you may not convert it at all. You know, I saw that Erin put my website there. So if you go on and look at our website, you'll see our positioning. And our positioning is, we specialize in selling homes near Disney World. Yes. All right. So let's focus on that for a moment. That is a niche. A lot of people know that as a niche, but it's also an expertise.
Yes, it is.
It's also something that we use to provide value. Like when you go and check our bios, our photos, you know, we're positioned as experts. We're built credibility. You know, when I started putting all this together, I was like, oh, wow, this makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So even before I had a team, I created a website. I was calling myself Carlos and Team before I had a team. I got an 800 number. I had a number with different departments. Hey, for listings, dial 1. For buyers, dial 2. You know, and it was all me. All the calls went to me. But talk about positioning, right? When a lead arrives at that website and they see, oh, there's a 1-800 number. You know, there is, you know, information here pertaining to what I'm looking for, they're going to feel more at ease because they were not looking just for any doctor. Let's say they were looking for a heart, you know, doctor, a cardiovascular doctor, right? And now you're the specialist for that. You know, by the way, those are the people that make the most money. The general doctors, they do pretty good, but if you specialize in the heart or in the brain or in some specialty, the money skyrocket. So I exhort everybody here to think, what is my positioning? What do I bring to the table? What am I an expert at? Because then when you drive that traffic, you'll be able to convert that traffic because they will get to connect with you at a higher level than they could with any other agent. So that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is value. Right? And you're like, Carlos, come on, tell me how to generate the leads. Well, what point do I make helping you generate leads that you're not going to convert? Right? So let me help you convert these leads first. And you convert the lead because you're an expert, as we talked about, but also because you're adding value to people's lives. Value no one can add because only you are the expert in your field. Right? So how do we add value? You know, we add value by caring about somebody deeply. We add value by realizing that our customer needs something. And it is our duty and a responsibility to not let them buy less than they should, for less than they should, you know, later than they should, right? It's like if you find somebody in the desert, and they, you know, are about to embark in a journey to cross the desert, right? And you're like, okay, well, how do you prepare? Well, no, I'm just gonna go across the desert. I was like, all right, well, I see you got no water. I mean, you know, you need some water. And it's like, yeah, I need some water. I guess you're right. You know, I'm gonna need some water. Okay, so you get them some water. Now, are they only going to need water? Should they get some sunblock too?
Yes.
Absolutely. So why would you just sell them the water? Like, you need to give them everything they need. So you give them the sunblock. You know, maybe you give them a hat. You know, hell, maybe sell them a camel so they make it faster through the desert. But at the end of the day, if somebody comes to you wanting to buy water, but you know they need more. That's a fiduciary responsibility of yours
Absolutely.
to add that value and that extra layer to them. Now, something else to think about is, okay, what's the maximum form of value? The maximum form of value is abundance. Like when you have that abundance where you are giving without expecting anything in return.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's when you make the biggest impact and you add the most amount of value. So a lot of people don't position themselves in a way to add that level of value, Erin. So for me, what I like to do is, if somebody, let's say somebody calls my office,
right,
and they're asking about a property, instead of saying, hey, are you qualified? Have you been working with another agent? Or, when are you, coming, like, to the office to meet and have a consultation to get you pre-approved? No, like that's not what they called about. If they called about a property, I'm going to answer their questions and I'm going to say, hey, when would you like to go see that property? Simple. That's adding value. I'm not asking them for a blood sample to go out and show them a house. I've always told my team, I'll show anybody 2 to 3 houses without asking for anything. Because over 80% of agents are not doing this.
Sure.
And the majority of the buyers or any client, NAR does these statistics, and the statistics are staggering. I think like around 90% of customers do business with the first agent they meet with face-to-face. The first. So if the customer is doing transactions with the first person they meet with face-to-face, why aren't you getting in front of more people? Like, why are you filtering face-to-face encounters? Like, I would just go and add that value to them, build that relationship. Now, if they want to see 10 houses, we're going to give them the additional things they need, right? We're going to them get pre-qualified. We're going to make sure they understand their budget. We're going to analyze the different areas where they work. So positioning yourself properly, adding value. Like one of the cool things that I'll end that section, that pillar with this. If you check out the website, Carlos and team, when you go, we specialize every property in our website. At the bottom of the property says every single property. And that's a value they can't get anywhere else. Something that we had custom developed. So Zillow doesn't have it, Realtor.com doesn't have it, nobody has it. So they love that feature because it gives them certainty. It's not like looking at a map and thinking, okay, is this 1 mile? Is this 2 miles? Is there a lot of traffic? How do I get? No, this is telling you specifically how far it is from our niche, right? So think about that. Think outside the box. What are some things that you can do to add value in that niche that you're specializing in your specialty? And how can you position yourself above and beyond every other agent that is trying to do the same thing?
Right.
So what do you think so far, Erin, of these 2 pillars?
This all makes amazing sense. And it's I know it's clicking with me 20 years in the business, that where certain things have worked, certain things haven't, where it's having to kind of dissect things and going, that what are you truly looking to accomplish and how do you get there faster and get in front of more people to make that difference with them? This makes perfect sense. So I'm excited to hear 3 and 4.
Absolutely. So let's dive into number 3. Number 3 is the one that most people think about when they're thinking lead generation. They're thinking about, okay, how do I drive traffic? How do I generate leads? So in this arena of lead generation, driving the traffic is very important, but you got to do it right. You got to have a message to market match. You can't be generating traffic from the wrong audience, right? Like going back to that specialty, like would you people that are in Central Florida when that 90 minutes from Disney World? No, like I want my audience. I want to be talking to my audience. I want to be talking add the right message. Now, you either build an audience or you buy an audience. All right. So that's a decision as an agent you have to make on that third pillar. Am I going to build an audience or am I going to buy an audience? Because building an audience takes time. Right? Takes time. Buying an audience is basically advertising. Somebody else built that audience. Like when you go and advertise on Google, well, Google built that audience. They're focused and they're specializing in driving traffic to their portal of people that are looking for something. They're searching, right?
Right.
Facebook, they're providing entertainment. It's a platform of connection, of entertainment, or collaboration. And they created that audience. You didn't. So now we pay for advertising in front of their audience that they created. Now, if you decide that you're going to build a Facebook community and you are going to build a Facebook community around your niche, then that's your audience that you have authority over, that you're building, that you can be in front of, right? If you decide, okay, I have 3,000 more friends to go on Facebook to hit 5,000, let me go and friend people in my audience. Then that's your audience that you can market to. So the audience can be either somebody that you connect with or somebody that you're advertising to. And for example, let's say you're focusing on first-time home buyers. By the way, you can have multiple niches, right? It's not just focusing on one thing. But let's say you have that first-time home buyer audience. Well, you're not going to market a $5 million home to a first-time home buyer.
No.
So that message is not going to resonate to that audience. Okay, so when you create your advertising, you need to have a message to market match. You need to make sure that when you create that audience, you're speaking in their language of what they need. So in a first-time home buyer, I could create an ad saying, these are the top 3 communities where first-time home buyers are buying homes in the Central Florida area. If you want to know which top 3 communities are getting the best deals at, click here, right? And that resonates. If I'm a first-time home buyer and I want to know where my people, my crew, my identity, who I am, the avatar.
Yes.
If I want to know where they are buying, I'm going to click on that article. And I'm going to engage with your content. And that's where you can generate leads. Now, you drive the traffic, you have the right message, then you're positioned as an expert and you're adding extra value, that starts generating the leads. Now, you got to understand the math behind lead generation to be able to scale. So, for example, when you are spending, let's say, $100, $200 a month on lead generation, you need to understand how long does it take to generate a sale. Let's say you're spending $200 a month. And let's say you're spending the money on Google. Let's say you build your website, you're positioning yourself as an expert, you've got some extra value in there, they connect with it. Then the messaging is right, everything is good with the world. And then you start advertising $200 a month.
Yeah.
Google is going to charge you, $10 average per lead. So you're going to get 20 leads out of $200. So it'll take you 5 months to get one sale. 5 to get one sale. That's the math behind lead generation. Why? Because in Google, and it varies for all lead sources, but in Google, it'll take you 100 leads to get one sale. But here's what happens. You spend 200 a month 1, spend 200 a month 2, and you didn't get that sale. Now you're discouraged.
Yes.
Then you spend 200 a month 3, and like, man, this doesn't work. This crap amount. These guys don't know what they're talking about. Failure. You stop it. You stop it. Not only do you stop the marketing, but you stop the prospecting, the follow-up, the nurturing, and you don't get the one sale.
Right.
Now, if you gave it the 5 months or the 6 months or whatever, right? And let's say you spend $1,000.
Right.
And you do make one sale. Then what's going to happen is this. You're going to make $8,000 on that one sale. average price of 250, 300,000, right? If you're in another market, it could be a lot more. Now, Erin, if you gave me $1,000 today and I handed you $8,000 back, how many times would you do that?
A bunch.
Right? You would do it all the time. So understanding the math of lead generation is critical. And what you want to do is make sure that you give it time, but time properly working it. So find a lead source, it could be Facebook, it could be Google, it could be any lead source. Drive the traffic to the right channel, and then give it enough time so you can start scaling it up. Where that's why some of the top teams you see, they're spending tens of thousands of dollars in lead generation a month. It's not a risk because you know the metrics. It's like, okay, I know I spend 10 grand a month. I'm going to get this many leads. I'm going to give it to this many agents. I'm going to get this many sales. I'll keep the money. It's financial modeling. So that all makes sense and that all will work. So the last pillar, though, and this is a pillar that a lot of people fail at, and it's a pillar that is critical. Like, you cannot be digging shallow holes. Don't dig shallow holes. A lot of people just go, and if they don't get a sale with those leads, immediately they give up. Well, you got to have a nurturing process. So that fourth pillar is nurturing and follow-up. This will not work if you don't have nurturing and follow-up. All these things are critical. Like, one of these pieces missing, you're not succeeding in this model.
Yes.
All right. So the follow-up, I tell people to keep it very simple. First of all, you got to have a solid CRM. So definitely you got to have a customer relation management system that you can put your lead into. It has to be something that connects with the lead source that you are marketing at, so that the leads go into it immediately. And then you can create campaigns that connect with that individual and check in with them. So for me, what I focus on doing is, how would I communicate with a person in my personality, with who I am,
right?
My values. Like, this is not about getting the CRM and using the canned campaigns or saying, Carlos, can you send me your campaigns, or let me copy your campaigns? No, like, how would you communicate? If you had to follow up with somebody every week, like, what would you say to them? How would you communicate? And that varies depending on the kind of lead or the person. Like, the way I communicate to our customers varies depending on the marketing piece, on where they came from and things like that. So you will need to, again, there's message to market match in your communication with them. All right. So in the follow-up, the one tip I will say is keep it short and sweet, right? Don't make it an essay. You just want to, like, if Erin is on my website, she registers, I'm going to check in with her and say, hey, Erin, I noticed you were looking at some properties on my website. Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can help you with? If somebody hot, I would say, hey, Erin, I noticed that you were on our website and you were looking at 123 Main Street. And, our CRMs do that. They will connect with people based on the address that they were looking at automatically. Would you like to schedule an appointment to go and see that property?
Yes.
Right. So that's the kind of level of follow-up. It's sweet, to the point, quick, nothing complicated. The days of big convoluted messages are gone. Now, one thing that I do is I do like to layer value in the follow-up campaigns, because I'm all about giving. I'm all about contribution. So the value that I'm layering as I go along is, hey, do you know the top communities near Disney World? If not, here they are. Do you know the difference between a foreclosure, a short sale, and a bank home, or, a regular property? If not, here's an article where you can read it. And depending on, what's going on with the market, you may create different pieces of value that you can add to your people specifically.
Right.
Like, what are the top 10 things people like to do in so-and-so location after they move? Here they are, So you want to layer some of that value, and that's going to give you more authority over those customers. But listen, if you're an expert, if you know how to position yourself as an expert, and you're trained and you know what to say and how to communicate, and you come from a position of a contribution and caring about the customer and what's important to them, then and only then you invest and drive traffic to your source, and you drive that traffic with a message to market match, and you follow up properly. That's an unbreakable model that you can scale. Like, period, the end. You'll create deals at will, basically, because then you know what those indicators are. You know how to pump more gasoline into the fire, and you'll be able to grow. And I've been running this team now. Only my first 3 years, I was an independent agent. Then I started building the team. And really, my second year, I was already building this. And my third year, I had already put it in. So, I mean, it's like 13, 14 years with this one thing. And, I didn't make it up. This is from the top agents around the country and the people that Aaron and I mastermind with. It's really proven. And you want to follow proven methods, proven strategies that provide you proven results.
Very impactful and so informative. And though it seems, I'm sure for you, that you look at it and go, this is so, it makes so much sense. Why wouldn't you do it?
Right.
The simplicity of it sometimes is the complicated part of it. And you hit so many key things on the head about, I think, what we all struggle with as people in the industry, and having to get back to that and remember that and tell people about that too. So
yeah. The challenge that I see with people is, they're like, oh yeah, I position myself, I provide value, and I do these things great. Well, it's a systematic, so you can scale. Like, do you have systems in place to do all those things? Mm-hmm. That's where it comes down to. Like, we're building a machine. You're mastering this. This is not a job. This is like a franchise model. Mm-hmm. Like, literally plug and play and go. So becoming intricate about it and knowing, the relationship amongst it is going to create the result that they're looking for. And you can pump any lead generation source to something like this, and it'll provide the results that you want.
That's terrific. What would your adolescent self not recognize about Carlos today?
Man, all right. Well, it's tricky because early on in my life, I was not very driven, or, I really wasn't as ambitious as I am today, if you will. Mm-hmm. So that, I think that's one thing. Like, holy cow, where did this guy come from? Right. So that's definitely one thing that I, changed and evolved into somebody that's ambitious, that's driven, that's determined. It'd be a shock to an earlier me, I think.
Very cool. How does being part of EXP, and more specifically the Honey Badger Nation, how does that make you feel?
I mean, everything, we are an average of the 5 people we surround yourself with, right? And everything that I've been able to accomplish, I've accomplished because of who I'm around, or who I've sought to be around. So it makes me feel safe and empowered to know that I'm around the best and the brightest, because no matter what happens with the market, I will be fine. Like, we have the brightest minds in collaboration, trying to figure out what's next, where to go, what to do. And that's important, especially in the way the market is out now, and how things have been evolving, and, the competition and technology. You want to be around the right people. So that's what I love about what we've got going on, Erin.
For sure. And so important, even for people that haven't been in long enough, but people that have been in longer, like you and myself, we know, because we've experienced how it is right now. That's not how it always is like. And you have to be that expert, and you have to train, and you have to have those systems in place, and be very honest with yourself about what you're looking to provide and how you're going to provide it, so that you can oil that wheel and hone your skill and that mastery, so that you are prepared and can properly advocate and give value to your clients as those markets shift, and being able, because you're an expert, to recognize the signs of those shifts, but also not getting so caught up by the media and going like everyone Googling, when's the market going to crash? And it's like, guys, right now, we're not dealing with a bubble. We're dealing with the law of supply.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, that energy and having that certainty because of who you have around allows you to grow faster. And, I'll tell you, like during the pandemic, a lot of people got scared.
Yes.
I doubled down on my strengths, and it was because of the certainty I had, because of the people I had around. And, we all had our concerns. Like,
of course,
we didn't know what was going to happen. But the one thing I know for sure is I want market share no matter what happens. So, I just grab more. There are some things that we do that are exclusive, and it's hard to get some extra market. And in times like that where people are running scared, you can. And those are some of the things that we double down on.
I agree. You've had a lot of success up to this point in your career. What is important to you now in this phase of your life and in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think what got me to the success is still what continues being important to me, and that is caring about people, and at different levels of the equation. Like, I really, really deeply care, about our agents and our partners and the people that I have around and what they need. And, some of the things that I am focused on, like the last 2 weeks, this whole month, I've been like literally non-stop working on something for my people, and is something that I personally don't need, but it's something that I truly believe is going to make a huge difference, and we're just getting started. This is going to take me months to be able to deliver to our group, but at the end of the day, is that caring that continues to drive me forward. And it's the same thing with like my family and all the people I have around. Like, I just bought a home for my mom and my dad. They're retired, they don't have to work, they're happy, they can't believe it, they're in such a beautiful community, 55 or old, they're living the life. It's like they're in shock, and that's the magic of this model. Like, it enables you to change people's lives, and that's just one way that I've been able to do it, and there's so many other ways. So yeah, those things are very, very important to me, and they've always been important. I do believe that now I'm able to bigger impact as I grow older, just because of what I've been able to accomplish.
That is so impactful, and I know that's going to speak to a lot of people, and I know that it's spoken to me for sure. Thank you so much for being on today, Carlos. I cannot thank you enough for taking all this time, and I do hope that we get a chance to actually meet in person one of those days.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, Erin. Always an honor, always a pleasure to connect with you and like-minded individuals. And whatever I can do in the future for you, anybody on your team, I'm here. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you again. Take care.
All right, guys, go implement.
There you go.